It's looking pretty good, isn't it? Man, I gotta tell you, that lawn looks simply amazing. What a recovery in only 2 weeks. That is just unbelievable. It is as close to perfect probably as I can get it. But today, we're gonna talk a little bit about reseeding. And I'm gonna answer the question, when can you reseed or should you reseed? Should I reseed sod? Can I reseed fescue, cool season? It's a really important answer, so hold on. I'm going to give you an example of when to reseed and when not to reseed when you're talking about sod. So Barb's lawn, when we started helping her out, her lawn was probably about 50% weeds and mud. Now, I'm not taking care of this lawn this year, but look at that. That's 100% Bermuda lawn. It's all reestablished and it looks great. So that's about 3 years after we started working with it, and it's just all perfect Bermuda. Next, this is my other neighbor's lawn. This area was all clay and weeds. That's all it was. We did some reseeding back over here because it was solid dirt. But over in here, where their lawn was mostly dirt and weeds, we didn't, because it initially had turf on it, and we just pushed that turf and pushed that turf. So that's a good example. So what's that, Doc? That used to be a putting green, remember that? Well, we let this die off several months ago because we were doing stuff down the beach and whatever. Well, yesterday I came out here and basically pulverized it with a core aerator, and we're going to reseed this. So if you have an area like a drain field or some repair work, yes, we're gonna reseed this. We're gonna reseed this in Bermuda. I'm not going to do anything special with it. We're just going to put Bermuda, and we're going to make it look like a green, but we're not going to treat it like a real green. But this is an example of when you would want to reseed, and reseeding on a large repair area that you have to do. Okay, so I'm going to get to this real quick, and I'm going to answer this question. Should I reseed my sod lawn? I'll answer that here in just 1 second. But first, don't forget, in the lawn guides, we cover this extensively, especially for like reseeding Bermuda and zoysia. So make sure you get the lawn guides. They're free, they're up all the time. We have a website for Bermuda, which has calendars and everything. Zoysia, calendars, all the tips and everything. And cool season, whether it's fescue, Kentucky blue, whatever it is. And in those guides, we talk about reseeding. And I talk about the difference, especially for you warm season guys, especially for you Bermuda guys, I talk about the difference between hybrid Bermuda and common Bermuda, because they are two different things completely, and they have different looks, they have different colors and different textures. Here's a funny story. I have a little patch down here in my yard. Someone years ago, before we bought this house, probably planted common Bermuda seed to fix something, and that little patch over there has just kind of bugged me. And it's only about 2 feet big, but it's there, and I can see and I can tell the difference. So here's the answer. Bermuda, if you have Bermuda sod, no, you should almost never reseed. We have done this time and time again, where we have taken weak lawns, tons of bare spots, and all we've done is during the growing season, we have pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. I've even shown you how to take runners and do runner implants. And why is that? It's because it's very hard to get different types of Bermuda to actually work together and look similar. You'll have different shades, different textures, and you don't want to do that. The biggest mistake that people make is they go down to Home Depot or Lowe's or one of the big box stores, or go online and they order a big bag of Bermuda seed, and it's cheap. It's like 20 bucks. You can't buy good hybrid Bermuda seed cheap. Well, let me explain. A hybrid Bermuda sod is raised in such a fashion where there are no seeds. So you can't get seeds for certain types of Bermuda sod. There are no seeds. They don't grow it that way. They grow it through plugs. So what you can get, however, if you have to do something like a repair or an overseeding, is you can get, there are several different, there's all kinds of specialty seeds, and in the description below, I'm going to link to the products that I'm putting down, and I'll link to a bunch of different seeds that you can get that replicate and come close to your sod. I'm in a dilemma here in that we let this lawn, we abandoned it for 2 months when we went down to do all the beach house stuff. And I told Ryan, I said, you know what, let's just shut off the irrigation. Let's not put down any treatments. Let's not do anything. And we let the lawn go to hell. Matter of fact, he didn't even come back here and cut it half the time. So when I came back, I had a disaster on my hands. So we scalped this whole thing down to dirt, and then I told you I was going to push the reset button. Well, I pushed the reset button, we put down products, we put down our fertilizer, dirt booster, and everything else, and the front lawn completely recovered. And that was, I want to say, a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. Now, we have to water. That's one of the critical factors, is we've got to put down, if you're not getting rain, you've got to put down water, and you got to water heavy to get this recovery and to push it. Now on the back, I'll show you some of these weak areas and these spotty areas. And some of this, a lot of this is what I call Bermuda shutdown. Bermuda, if it goes into a severe drought with a lot of heat, it doesn't get water, doesn't have any food, doesn't have anything positive happening, Bermuda will actually sort of shut down. And that's what's happened over here. And so I have to stimulate this to actually bring it back to get it filled in. But I also have some grub damage back here. So that's why I've been contemplating doing some overseeding. Now I have Yukon. I'm using Yukon. I'll put a link to the one I use. And I have used some Yukon over here on that fairway repair. And man, it just looks great. It looks fantastic. So yes, you can if you get it. And good seed is expensive. I mean, a good seed, a bag of... a 5-pound bag of Yukon, I don't know, what's it, about $100 or something? It's going to be $20, $30 a pound for this good hybrid seed. Cool season guys. You cool season guys are notorious. You're constantly going to be overseeding in most cases. You're going to do maybe some in the spring, but most of you cool season guys will be doing it in the fall. So you reseed and it'll go into the winter time, and that's when most of your reseeding is done. So yes, I cover that in the guides. Reseeding is done in the fall for most of your cool season guys. Zoysia is the same thing. If you have Zoysia turf, it's going to be a hybrid more than likely. And the Zoysia seeds that are out there are going to be a thicker blade. Now down at the beach house, we did the whole lawn in Zenith Zoysia seed, and it's a lot thicker blade than a turf. So many people who have Zoysia turf are saying, "Man, Doc, my Zoysia doesn't look anything like that." Well, that's because I put down seed, and it really is the same thing as Bermuda. It's like the difference between common Bermuda and hybrid Bermuda. It's like hybrid Zoysia versus common Zoysia. The seed we're putting down for the Zenith is really more of a common. It's a thicker blade. It's not that fine blade Zoysia. So I don't have to worry. I can reseed down there all the time I want because I established that lawn from seed. But when you get to a point where you have turf, and I don't care how old your house is, we've been through, I showed you, go back to our channel and search for Fix an Ugly Lawn. I have, if you just put in the term ugly and search our channel, you'll come back years back. And I had the world's worst lawn that we did. We brought it back and made it look absolutely gorgeous. We did Barb's, the same thing, and I did Bill's across the street. We fixed all their lawns without using seed. Now, the test patch over here, I did some reseeding on, and especially since they had a new drain field put in, again, a large repair area, I did put some seed back over there too. So anyways, that's your answer. Your answer is you never reseed sod, you just push it and push it and push it. The exception to the rule is if you have some major catastrophe go on, i.e. you have to put in a new drain field, you have a driveway and they tore it up. There are times you're going to do this. I'm tempted to reseed back here just to show you guys, just that you can get that sort of match. You can sort of, if you buy the right seed, you can do some reseeding and repair some areas. So let me grab the camera and show you what I'm working with. So when I step back from this lawn, it actually looks pretty good. Let me show you what I mean. So if you've watched any of our videos, you'll notice that, hey man, Doc, you took that down to dirt. It was horrible. It's looking pretty good. From a distance, yes, but I have certain areas. Like look at this over here. Look how weak and poor this is. If I sit back and really push this and water it and treat it right, I am seeing some growth come up. But I'm looking at probably several weeks, and I'm just an impatient guy. But look over here. Look at this spottiness over here. And this spottiness goes all through it. That almost looks like grub damage. So I have been out here treating for grubs like crazy. Look over here. Now this has to do with a lot of shutdown because there are roots from this tree over here, so it really shut down. So you can see all this bare area. However, when you go in and look, I do see sprigs. But, you know me, I'm kind of a yard freak. So what I want to do is I want to do something where I'm kind of pushing this a little bit faster. I want to come out here and I at least want to do some areas of reseeding, and I may just go ahead, just so it sort of blends in, I may just put a little bit of seed all over this lawn. You know, we had a beautiful golf green back here for a couple of years, and then this year I told Ryan, I said, shut it down. We're not going to do it. We're leaving for the summer. I don't want to worry about it. It's something else. So we shut it down and it all died off. Well, yesterday I came out here with my core aerator and I tore the living hell out of this thing. I mean, I pounded it with that core aerator. It was almost like tilling it up. So I definitely am going to come out here. We're going to scarify this today. We're going to put some seed down. We're going to rake it. And we're going to turn this into not a true putting green, but we're going to put it into sort of a putting green look. It just looks good. So it's kind of cool to have that for as far as the look goes. But that's what I'm doing today. So we're going to come out here. We're going to do some cutting. We're probably going to do a little bit of overseeding, some scarifying. We'll fix the green, just a bunch of different stuff. So if you want to watch it, watch it. Get the guides. So like I told you, there are a bunch of different seeds you can get in on the page below. There's one link in the description. I'll have the lawn guide link, I'll have the seed link, I'll have the fertilizer link. But this is what I ordered for the seeding project, and I've used this before. I got this from Outside Pride. Now this is a Yukon. This is a perfect example. This is 5 pounds of Yukon Bermuda seed, and it's $109. Now if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, you can buy a bag like this for like 15 bucks or 20 bucks. That's common Bermuda. There's a big difference. There's a reason why it's so expensive. This is a totally different look, a totally different size, everything about it. But this will blend in well with a lot of the sod that's out there, the Bermuda sod. So that's what I'm using today. Now I'm not sure exactly how much of this I'm going to put on video because we're going to be out here for hours and hours. It's hot. John was going to come help, but actually his truck broke down. It's in the shop, so just Ryan and myself today. So there we go. So we will do a light. I'll just broadcast some seed over here, see if I can get it to take, if I have any areas that are really hard hit. Now look at this. If you remember this area?
Yeah.
That was solid dirt.
It came back.
So this was all solid dirt, and what I did was I came back and we did some reseeding with some Yukon, and it actually looks just like this. So that area has filled in really nicely. The green, we'll probably do some work. I'm going to scarify these edges that look like crap. And then for the green itself, we're going to spend some time seeding, scarifying, raking, and leveling it. And we'll get it to look like somewhat like a green. So one thing that we're going to do, this front yard is growing so quickly. It's so fast. It's like every 48 hours we got to cut it if we want to keep it low. But it's, you know, it's after 10 o'clock and there's a ton of dew on the grass. So one of the things we do is to be able to cut this grass earlier is real mowers don't like a lot of water on the grass. So I have Ryan using the big leveling rake and we knock down all the water, and within usually 30 minutes this grass will be nice and dry. But it's amazing, even he said it's actually kind of relaxing to watch all the water come off the rake. And it's a lot of water. So I have had, down at the beach house, I have had a Sunjoe scarifier for years, beating the living hell out of it. And it still works. This year I ordered the newer version, and this is a larger one. This one, instead of being 14, is actually 16 inches wide. And of course we use the blades. We never use the spring prongs. And so what I'm going to do is, just so you understand what we're doing here, I'm going to throw out a little bit of seed, and then we're going to scarify this. Then we're going to rake it, do a bunch of stuff here. But then see, like on these weak areas out here, and see over here by this tree, all that weak areas here, we're going to hit those areas. If I have real heavy bare spots, we're going to hit it, we're going to scarify it and seed it. And same thing over here in those areas that are bare over there, we'll hit it. And then back here, and then back over here, this whole area back here just is really bad. See how weak it is. If I push it, it'll come back eventually. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to scarify this whole area and I'll reseed it. So this will be a good test area because this whole area is going to be reseeded. Once I scarify it, what I'll probably do is I'll put some seed down and then we'll do a rake to get some of that organic stuff off. But what I've learned when you're doing a project like this is actually get your seed into a few different levels. So in other words, do a light application of your seed so it's about 1/2 inch deep, another light application so it's 1/4 of an inch deep, and then another application of the seed light that's almost just barely on the surface. Remember, seeds only have a certain amount of energy in them, and that's what they use to get up and so they can get the sunshine. Well, if it gets too deep, it's not going to make it. And Bermuda seed is tiny. And the rule of thumb is you plant your seed twice the height of your seed. So if it's a 32nd of an inch, I should be planting it a 1/16 of an inch deep, basically 1/4 of an inch deep. So you don't want to plant this deep. That's a big mistake people make on Bermuda seed. But at the same time, if I get a real heavy rain and just put it on the top, it may wash off. So that's why I've learned to do this level thing where I go 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, and then maybe a 1/16 or an 1/8, and it works out well. So while he's scarifying, this is the Bermuda seed, and you can see it's really, really, really tiny. So, see how small that is? I mean, it's super, super fine. So it doesn't take much to do an area. So after he gets done with this, I'm going to put my first level, then we're going to rake it. We'll just keep doing that. We'll rake and roll and just put different levels down. That scarifier right there, I'll link to it in the script. Hopefully I remember. If I forget to put a link to that exact model, it works so much better than all the other ones that we use. And if you run it over lawn, it doesn't tear up the lawn. It actually does cuts, which is what we wanted. So that's my first level of seeding. If you were installing a new lawn, you could probably get by with just doing that amount of seed. Again, Bermuda seed, I don't know how many millions of seed there are per pound or something like that, but it's a bunch, hundreds of thousands. So now what we're doing is we're just taking this leveling rake. I got this at Lowe's, and thank God I went this morning because that was the last one they had. What's that?
Do you want me to go the same direction, or can I come back?
No, go ahead. Go back that way. And we're basically we're taking some of this dead grass and crap off of it, but at the same time we're kind of covering this seed up. And this will be the first kind of rake application. So I'm doing something a little bit different right now, and we're using this leveling rake, and we've got a lot of these organic clumps. Let me show you what I'm talking about. See if I can see this right here? That right here I need to get rid of, because that's when I roll this, it's not going to roll well if I have all that organic. So we've done this, raked this is like our 5th time raking it, and that's with the seed on it. And then I'm going to reseed it again, and then we're going to use probably the big McLean, and we'll just roll it. Okay, so we've got an old True Cut here that has a bad bed knife. And we actually use this for rolling because it's 280 pounds. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to have Ryan move that extension cord. I forgot about that. And then I'm just going to use this to roll it, and we're done. It's too hot. We got to get moving on. So I've got 3 layers of seed out here, different levels. And then we're rolling it this way and we're going to roll it that way. Now I'm not concerned that this isn't super level, because we'll come in here once this, in about a week or so, we'll come in here with some regular white sand, and we'll actually throw white sand on it to level it. You just want to put pure sand down. On a putting green, you want to use pure sand to level it. Okay, so that's done. Again, we're not real worried about this being too level, whatever. We'll come back with sand. But the nice thing is I have my station number 4 is dedicated to the green. So I have sprinklers that actually hit this entire green. So I can come on 3 times a day and water this and water this and water this. And that's key to good seeding. The next thing I'm going to do, and Ryan, you listen to this too, is I'm going to go by, I'm going to hit spots that are really bad and I'll point them out. And then what you're going to do is the spots that are really bad, just lightly scarify them. And then the rest of the spots, I'm just going to broadcast generally all over the yard. But we got to do that whole back strip. I want to do around here. I want to do over here. This is horrible over here. So any of the spots that are really bad, we'll go ahead and we'll do a little bit of scarifying. The rest of the lawn, I'm just going to put a little bit out all over and just push the actual grass that's here. My son is back there doing the extension cord dance. It's funny, I had, extension cords. I took some down to the beach, and then I took a bunch over to the farm property. And I realized yesterday when I went to do some scarifying, I don't have an extension cord here. So I had to go to Lowe's this morning and buy 150, 175 feet of extension cords. But he's done over here. I'll show you that in a second, but he's getting ready to scarify these really weak spots. Again, this will just cut and just make little slots for that seed to get in here. Now the rest of this lawn, I'm gonna overseed this, and some of the seeds will take, not much. But I had such good success and such a good look with this Yukon over here. It blends right into my natural sod, so I'm not worried about it. But let me show you the spots that he has scarified. So he has scarified around here. And then this area over here that was really weak, scarified it. And again, we will run irrigation on it, but it just does a nice job of just stirring that seed up just enough to get it in the ground, like 1/8 of an inch. And again, it's gonna pull up like a little bit of thatch layer and dirt, but that's fine. That's what we want. We want that seed to be a little bit covered. Let me show them what it does. So this is perfect right here. This is a great example. So this is the and then that's the scarified, and then you're gonna get some of this crap too, which is perfect. That's just absolutely perfect. That's what we want. So what you wanna do is, I know this video is getting kind of long, but go ahead and hit that subscribe button. There's a little red thing somewhere around here. And I will show you the results of this. It'll be interesting to see because I don't know what the final result will look like. Hope they help, Doc.